Good morning. Welcome to Urban Agoge, week 21, phase 2, day 2. Still smoking. Haven't managed to kick that habit yet, or even get into a place where I feel like I can. So just to keep you on track, that's still in the forefront of my mind, as is eating a shed load less meat. But yeah, baby steps. I'm competing with me yesterday, and I set a new bar for myself yesterday, in that with only a minimum amount of preparation in the previous week, i.e. putting some filler in and just sort of generally prepping myself and getting the materials together. But yesterday I painted my bedroom, so it's now no longer magnolia. And while I was painting it, I thought, well, this looks a bit dodgy, but now it's dried, it's a nice uniform grey. So I will be putting colour into that room, but yeah, it fits in with my not spending a giant amount of money aesthetic. So I changed the colour of the walls in my room for 13 quid, or maybe a little bit more, but certainly under 20 quid. Which has made me a lot happier. It's a much more restful colour than magnolia. So yes. So yeah, just one 5-litre tub of grey paint. You know, I used one paintbrush, one cheap roller, and it went on great. The walls aren't in great condition, so they still look a bit lumpy. But apart from that, it's all good. But yeah, it's the sort of thing that I've always traditionally put off. But and also I've got too much junk, so that's cool. There's still a bit of work to be done in the bedroom, but I feel sure that if I get myself motivated, that can all be done by the end of the week, and hopefully I can look into getting let's go down here. Let's go and have a look on the bridge first, see how far we get down. I haven't got a lot of time to go exploring. So yeah, so I'm feeling pretty pumped that I enacted on day 1 of phase 2. I enacted a significant change from my perspective anyway. It's a pretty boring change for everybody else, but yeah, bedroom painted, one day. I'm very pleased with it. So yes, so I'm going for my woodland wander, and I'm getting very good feedback, including, and she's not going to mind me too much saying this, but my daughter has started doing the Urban Agoge thing and going out for a walk, and is finding herself empowered similarly. So those self-help books that help me create a new way of looking at things for lazy people, you know. And I think the most important thing is doing something for your future self, that so you're aware that you can care about yourself and do things and set things up so that your future self is like, oh, I did that. I took 5 or 10 minutes out of my day to do something that properly benefited me. You know, that I was just going to be sitting around doing nothing with. So yeah. So this might only be a very short video, but it's allowing me to commit to the concept of phase 2, which is all about, let's turn this round and adjust the angle of the camera. Yeah. Which is all about your immediate environment, your home. You know, as I used to joke with people about creating a fortress monastery. You know, and especially people like me that need to see function in things, and it makes us hard to see the aesthetics of something. You know, once the problem is solved, you know, it's no longer as interesting rather. But I can see how you can marry aesthetics up to organisation and create something somewhere where you want to be, and can access all those things that you want to use to create projects. Also had a rather illuminating chat with Chipko, and I think he's right. I think a certain few parts of my, shall we say, psychological makeup need to change if I'm going to get the concept of the not eating beef across to people. And he's right, my language is very adversarial. I'm very combative, and you know, the language that I sometimes use is in itself violent. You know, it is a form of violence, and you're never going to convince people. Oh, hold on. Sorry about that. I have a moratorium on not accidentally filming people and not freaking people out by talking to myself. So that was another person in the woods, but that's the price of going into the woods later than 7 a.m, which I've got to get back into. So I've got to get an early night tonight and get out early in the morning, because there are still things to do. I have things to do, and I have the time in which to do them. I'm just wasting lots of it. So yeah, should have got out of bed. So using violent language makes people resist, rather than confront their own either misconceptions, or, you know, if you're trying to bring the truth to them, you can only do it gently. And a large amount of that is the truth as far as I see it, or my truth is viable working language. And it will be fun to experiment with that. So yeah, so the violent language, yes, I need to address that. And yeah, a lot of the way my speech patterns are adversarial. Largely, I think, because most of the time the only person having the adversarial viewpoint is me. So I need to understand in my soul that, you know, violence is never going to be the answer to solving the world's problems, and you can't use violence to become peaceful, I guess. So you've got to start off from a peaceful place. So yeah, and maybe get all my information across in a way that doesn't, you know, hector people. So yeah, so I'm moving on. And the other thing he wants me to do is look into Fusion 360 as far as 3D printing goes. So hi Chipko, it was an illuminating chat, even though I was sarcastic all the way through, which is in itself a form of violence. I get it, but baby steps. The only person you have to compete with is yourself. Like if you're doing well in relation to how well you were doing yesterday, then you're doing great, you know. So tomorrow morning I want to go out for a run, and the only thing stopping me from going out for a run early tomorrow morning is me. So yeah, I need to get back into the exercise thing, because there's no point going, oh, I've done exercise, now I'm moving on to my home. You know, I have a mental picture of how it could be, and also winter's coming, so when winter comes I want to be in the smallest possible environment, but yet still be able to be creative. So that means getting the studio online. So you might see a lot more studio footage and imagery coming online. So yeah, but there's a lot of things to review, including this camera rig, and talk about Ubuntu and software that you can use in order to be creative. You know, but to be honest, a lot of my early use of computers was pretty much wrapped around computer games, which is fine, but it was almost exclusively computer games, which is a kind of escape. You know, and I don't want to escape. I want to live in the real world. I want to change it for the better. I want to make it slightly more doable, and that's the whole point of this. Otherwise, why would I be doing Urbanagogi? So yeah, lots and lots and lots of things to do. This is going to be an incredibly short video, A, because it needs to be edited quickly, and it needs to be uploaded quickly, because I've only got a limited amount of time left. I want it uploaded before I go to work in a couple of hours. So yeah, that's where we're at. Phase 2, I've completed phase 2, and hopefully before the end of the week I will be starting the philosophy of living a less cluttered life, and following the Marie Kondo lessons, which I don't think she'll mind, because you could just go and watch the Marie Kondo TV series on Netflix and absorb everything I'm going to talk about. But those are all very staged events. You know, so what I need to do is organise my stuff along the same lines, without the TV crews, without, you know, with literally me saying, right, I'm going to do this. You know, I need to clear out my clutter. I've got lots of it, and even if I'm not going to throw away it, it needs to be stored in such a way as that I can access those things so I can build projects with them, because it's really getting in my way. Because I want night vision goggles, I know how to make them. I need to learn a little bit of programming, but that's it. I have the idea, I have the equipment, I need the specifics. So yes, that's going to be an interesting thing. So yeah, we'll get the tidying and then we'll get some inventions finished, because I've got a few ideas on how to do stuff. I need the studio finished, which will make me even more capable, and I need to be generally more organised. And once I'm more organised and I'm busy, I can concentrate on becoming less consumerist, and I can focus on other passions that I've got. You know, phase 3 will involve as close to an automated garden as I can get, for which I'll need some kit. But not a lot, because I've already got a lot of the kit, I've just put off doing it. So the whole vegetarian concept, I'll just go down here quickly, let's have a look at the river. So the whole vegetarian concept will come along amazingly if I'm growing a lot of my own food. If I'm growing my own potatoes, if I'm growing my own tomatoes and chilies and onions, that will encourage me to eat a lot more vegetables, which is going to be better for me. But it'll also be super interesting if I can figure out how to make it easy to do so that we can all do it. Put in a few solar panels, maybe a wind turbine, you know, just a little tiny one, just to see how that's working. You know, then I'll learn all sorts of other extra skills. And other extra skills are good. Definitely need to build that bridge to get over to there. That might be a spring thing. Because if you remember early episodes of Urban Agoge, I used to go onto that footpath. That's over there. You see that there. So just beyond that, where that patch, the furthest away patch of green in the lower part of the screen, that's where the footpath that I used to go along. And I'd like to go back there, so I might have to build a bridge. I have to look around, see if we can find some largish stones. It may have to be back here. Look at all, there's lots of sand on the ground, which essentially means that this is sediment from the river when it burst its banks. So the river came at least to here. Let's have a look. But I think that's going to be a spring thing. I'm going to be busy enough, and I'm going to be a bit more cagey about coming out here in the winter. Yeah, but yeah, maybe somewhere here. So I don't know. Oh, that's interesting. You probably can't see it, but in that tree over there, there's a rock. That'll tell you how, you know, the river got really high. It swept sediment, you know, maybe 3 or 4 feet up. So the level of the river must have been at least a metre higher than it is right now. But yeah, you need a bridge here. Need some material to make that out of, but we're in a wood and we've got lots of rocks, you know. Maybe just a causeway, maybe something that will speed it up. Because over there, there's no way down to it, but we can build a second causeway. And there does seem to be a way down and over. If you look over there, is there a way? And the answer is not really. We could probably jump across the brook there. Let's see if there is a way. Exploring! I didn't plan to do this. So if we... Wouldn't it be nice if there's just now a slightly different little track that gets us into that bit of wood that we haven't been into since it started raining. So... yeah, but there doesn't seem to be particularly a way, but maybe I can get down here. Which I don't think is any more adventurous than going the other way. So it may be that you don't get to see this footage until later, but I found a new route to the other bank, and this is now the way. I didn't have to dick around or mess with nature too much. So for the first time in ages, I'm up and along this path, which I haven't been. It's got to be more than a couple of months since I was, when we were having very heavy rain, and now non-summer. We aren't been up here. It depends on how easy it is to get back. Going back up might be more problematic. Little goldfinches there. Yeah. I'll just go down here as far as the waterfall. We won't go any further. We haven't been to the waterfall in a while. So yeah. But I think yesterday is the first project that I managed to get fully done. Let's vary the view. So yeah, so yesterday, for me, decorating has always been, you know, a multiple day thing, or a thing that requires lots of preparation. And yes, there was some preparation. I masked off the skirting board and the ceiling and just got to it. And it probably took me 2 or 3 hours, but it was 2 or 3 hours that I spent extremely well, where normally on a day off I'd just be sitting around. And I feel kind of good about it. So the next phase is, ooh, look at that. That's proper collapsed. That took a tree with it and nearly took the path with it. Just as an illustration of the power of even small streams to change their environment. So yeah, global warming is a thing. I wonder if I'm going to be able to easily get back. But yeah, it's obviously a little bit more muddy, but there again, crossing the little causeway that used to be there was a feat that would get your feet wet. It was still worth it. So yeah, like the river narrows to about 6 feet across down there. That's a thing. Oh, it's the bit I normally fall over on. So yeah, so getting stuff done. You know, maybe I'll even get the studio done by the end of the week if I can pour in a load of effort. Today I've got a longer working day, and it's not longer by too much. If I'd got up at 7 o'clock and been out and filming, I would have been in a better state. And I always leave my phone behind when I'm out filming, which I probably shouldn't, but I don't want it chirping all the time. Maybe I could bring it and put it on silent. That's a solution. So yes. So yeah, I think I'm more open to more ideas. Than I was. And when you become more open, and you know, this is possibly the most important bit of the video, when you listen to yourself, or you listen to your own internal logic, and you say, right, what things would significantly improve my my life, so I'll be possibly happier, but what are they at their basis level? You know, maybe this will enable me to become significantly tidier. I'm already a chunk more tidy, but if I imagine having my studio sorted, just to fill you in, I've got a 2-bedroom house, which I'm suitably grateful for, and I sleep in the small bedroom of the two, and the larger bedroom I wanted to use as a studio. And because I had I'm going to call bulky thinking, I've filled it with stuff and now I can't use it. so I can barely get in the door because there's stuff. I've been using it as a dumping ground because I've got probably too much stuff, or the stuff that I do have isn't organised properly. There's the waterfall. Now you can go a lot further than this in these woods, but I'm not going to. You've got stuff to do and you want this video to be at least available sometime today, because I want to get up early tomorrow and do another video. And I want to, it's all about helping people. We all know people that are messy, we all know people that can't motivate themselves to do things that benefit themselves, because the only person that really can do stuff that benefits them is yourself. And an awful lot of Urban Agoge is just about empowering yourself to be a more useful person. Your previous you needs to be useful to you. It can't be the thing that hampers you. So yeah, didn't want to fall in with this, but yes, finally, after months, we got to the waterfall again. No wildlife footage today, but good woods footage. So, and I'm looking at the camera counter, and it's saying 16 minutes. So I've been out here for more than half an hour, because I'm sure there are more than one file. So hopefully this will all be fairly easy to edit. I don't mind it being in 20-minute chunks. It was a hassle when it's 2-minute chunks, but this is a good camera for that, in that quick record is on, which means that when it comes to the end of its max file size, it just clicks into the next file. It just carries on recording and creates a file while starting the other one. So it's pretty smart. That's why the last few videos I've done have been split into 2-minute chunks, but you possibly didn't notice that because it goes into auto record so brilliantly. Oh, now I've got to go through mud. That's the price of doing business with the woods. So yeah, so I'm feeling very positive today. Using the only social guinea pig I have. So yeah. And maybe, horror of horrors, I'm slipping into a form of mindfulness, which somewhat dismays me because it sounds so crap. It sounds like, first world problems and solving them. But the only way we're going to get into this place where the world is a better place is if we're in a better place to start with. You can't help anybody else until you yourself are fixed in a way that you're happy with. And that's probably what makes me the best guinea pig. I've got this subjective need. This is why I encourage people to film and produce their own evidence of themselves. This is the evidence that you are better off now than when you first started. Interesting, isn't it? So, yeah. So, yeah, there's a lot to be said for it. And now I have the big problem of getting down here without falling over one-handed. Bite the bullet. So yeah, so I managed to cheaply decorate my room, so I like being in it. Now the trick is to cheaply decorate my studio. So I want. Ow! And as you know, on Urban Agoge we never dress up falling over. That's the price of doing business. Ow. Oh, I fell straight onto my back. I'm a little bit winded. That's probably the worst fall I've had. I mean, I've fallen over and then fallen over immediately again. Ironically, always in this bit of the woods and always at that point. Nature is teaching me something I am failing to learn. So yeah, you know, price of doing business. Adventures. They bruise. They tire you out. They cost. But ultimately, the cost is worth. You know, I don't feel that I am unduly served by the universe by having fallen over like that. So yeah. Whereas, I don't know, 6 months ago me would have probably sat down for 5 minutes and gone, oh, screw this. I know that's kind of all I've got to say about that kind of thing. I'm glad my camera wasn't in the back, but there again, if my camera wasn't in my hand, in all likelihood, I wouldn't have fallen over. So, shows that maybe if you're going to go into a conflict situation with an environment, you either pay attention or you get hurt. Which is by no means to say don't do it. You should definitely do it. A couple of thorns in my hand. So yes. Here we are, out in the woods. Coming up with new and interesting injuries. Failing to walk back the way I came. Again. I don't think I came this way. Hang on. Let me I might be a little bit lost, but not nil desperandum. I know the direction. Pretty sure I didn't come down here, but that's what exploring's for. Yeah. So we have found a way into the hard to get to bit of the woods. Ah, here we are. The thing that I spent so much time looking for. There you go. An Oldham Way blaze. Yeah. So this, because of that short climb, is taking me up to a top bit, which should lead me up to the exit of the woods. But yeah, I've probably been out here a lot longer than I thought I was going to be. Thought this was just going to be a short video, but hey, you do what you got to do. Already over half an hour. I'm getting my exercise, breathing a bit harder, clambering, sorting stuff out. But I'm in the woods, being a better version of myself. Unexpected turns and the road less travelled. By the way, the Browning poem, I took the road less travelled, is a little bit of a misnomer. in that, you know, the poet is kind of saying that it didn't make a lot of difference except for him. Which is, you know, quite an interesting piece of feedback. Ooh, oh yes. You know, the idea that the road less travelled only means something to the traveller rather than something you can boast about. You know, I took the harder path, and there's always a cost. This is, you know, this is scrambling around the woods. It's not horrifically dangerous. There are no predators in these woods. I doubt whether I'm ever going to be attacked by something as timid as a fox, you know, which is the, apart from maybe a badger, may well be the apex predator aside from me in the woods. So all I'm doing is competing with the landscape. And this is probably the equivalent exercise of a little bit of a run. Because, you know, running and jumping and climbing trees and trying not to die. But it raises your adrenaline, covers you in a bit of mud, you feel like you've been out and done stuff. So yeah. So by the time I get back, I'll have precious little time to do stuff in. Here we are, back where we came in. Another Oldham Way thing. So yeah, let's pull this round. So yes, we're almost at the exit of the woods. So thank you for watching, and do take care. Have a good day.